I got a new cue, and I've been talking about this. If you follow my channel or anything, you know what I wanted. And this is the cue. So I'm going to present it. And I'm going to quickly go through my cues. This is the evolution of the pool cues that I've gone through. And this baby is it. And the biggest reason why is this is the shaft that I've been playing with for 9 months. It's a Predator 314 shaft. The only thing that's new is the butt handle. This is my first good quality cue that I ever owned. It's a Prather. This is a very typical, common cue as far as the design specs. I bought this probably about 1995, and I played with it for almost 10 years. I played with it till 2004. So it's a 58 inches long, and I weighed all my cues. This is 18.7 ounces, steel joint, and it's a standard maple shaft, you know, with a 1 1/4 inch long ferrule. Then about 2004, and this is 58 and a half inches long. Now I'm 6'5", and I've since learned your cue stick should accommodate your length if you're a really tall person. You take your bridge length, which is usually like 8 or 9 inches, and then you figure out the distance from your bridge to your stroking arm at 90 degrees, okay? And that distance, that measurement, plus your bridge length, is the minimum length of cue that should fit you. In other words, your grip hand would be right at the end of the cue, right? Grip hand to bridge length to your bridge plus your bridge length. And then I like some more on the end of the cue. So I came up with the magic number of 68 inches, which is a long cue. In 2004, I knew I needed a longer cue, but I didn't know that I needed a 68. And I bought this one from Dave Bowman at Cue Masters when I went to the US Open. When I first bought this cue, this is a 61 inch cue. I thought, oh, I'm 6'5", I need a longer cue. So this cue, when I bought it in 2004, came like this, just a butt and a shaft. But the butt was in an extra inch, and the shaft was an extra inch. So I think it's 61 inches. Okay? And I played with that for a number of years, for a long time, just like this. And still, my grip hand was way near the end, and often off the rack. So and then I took some time off from pool, and I came back in 2019. And right away in 2019, I was like, man, I need a longer cue. This does not work. And that's why when I started experimenting with extensions, and I ended up with joint extensions, and that's when I had this one made. So this is an 8-inch joint extension. So with the butt on the cue, this is a little over 68 inches with this extension. So I played with that for a few years and started learning a lot about cue length and fundamentals and things. And then it occurred to me, okay, this cue is 21 ounces with this extension. That's too heavy. So the fact that this is too heavy drove me to start thinking about a different way to have a long cue. And I imagined, can I get a lighter cue? I wanted something closer to 18 and a half or 19 ounces. Can I get a lighter cue without this center extension? And it occurred to me, why don't we just make it in 3 pieces? After all, there's no magic to a 29-inch long shaft. Why should it be that long? It could be this long. So because of that, there was a cue maker here in Denver, Bob Elston, that made this cue for me. And this guy is 66 and a half inches long, and it weighs 18.7 ounces. So I fell in love with this cue right away because it's just under 19 ounces. That's 2 ounces lighter than this with the length, and that was amazing. This shaft is really weird. It's a very short shaft, and it's a maple shaft, but he cored the end and he put a lighter material in there. So it was a lower deflection shaft, but it's not as good as a good quality low deflection shaft that's made by one of the manufacturers today. But this is a 3-piece cue. There's a joint here in the butt and then a joint for the shaft. So this was good, but the shaft wasn't great. And then a little bit after that, I bought this cue. because I wanted to try a butt end extension. This is a Predator P3. So along with that, I'll grab this. Along with the Predator P3, I got a 314 shaft, very low deflection shaft. So that is a regular length cue, but I bought an 8-inch extension for it. So instead of the extension being at the joint, the extension's on the back end. And I'm 6'5", so I play with the extension full time. So the Predator P3 is 67¼ inches long, and it's 21.2 ounces. So I like the fact that I had the extension back here, but it's still too heavy. So it really, low deflection shaft is great, but it really wasn't any better than the Bowman that I bought 15 years earlier, because it's 21 ounces. It's too heavy. But I put out the word, and I wanted to use my Predator 314 shaft and then have a 2-piece butt that's this length with the joint in the middle, so that the wood, the metal of the joint is ahead of my hand, not behind it. So it's a better balanced cue. And then the big thing is I needed it to be lighter. That is the real challenge, because so this P3 shaft is 30 inches, and then the butt handle is 37. So it's just over 67 inches. But you can see this handle, it doesn't have an extension. It's built to be this length and this weight, and it has a joint right in the middle. Okay? The joint in the middle is brass, so it's really light. And then Cornell actually cored this out and filled it with carbon fiber to make it solid yet light. The challenge with trying to make a light cue with a really long butt piece is the weight. So you can't use some of your exotic hardwoods because they're just too darn heavy. You'll never get the cue down, below 19 ounces. So this cue is a 2-piece butt, and it's all maple. This is curly maple, and this is, I think he said flamed. It's curly maple that's been flamed. So you have the two-tone. So there's no wrap. It's just all wood. So that's the handle, and it's just white curly maple. So there's a little bit of ring work at the joints there, and at the joint at the front. That's a 2-piece butt. There's no extension. It's designed to be this long and this weight. So it's a 2-piece butt with a Predator 314 shaft. So the cue is 67½ inches long, and it is 19.3 ounces. The balance point on this cue is about a 1/2 inch forward of the balance point of the Predator, and that's because it doesn't have the metal behind my hand. When I ordered this P3 from Predator, I specified no weight at all, and even with all the weight bolts taken out, and once you put the extension on the back, 21 ounces. It's too heavy. It's too dang heavy. That's the problem, is the weight in modern cues. And it's even magnified because back in the day, the cloth was slower, the balls were dirtier, you had to hit it harder. So it was okay to have more weight. Today, Joshua Filler shoots with a 17-ounce cue. It's because the balls are super clean and the cloth is super fast. You don't need to hit it so hard. The lighter cue's better.